it sparked conversation, but it was something that we hadn't seen often, and it was something I had to pick up on. Like the post was, men have to now get women to like them, and a lot of men are realizing in that transition of meeting and dating or trying to build a relationship, they're realizing they aren't that likable, and we was like, yo. People playing their best hands and it's not getting accepted, bro.
Lord.
Turning up with the fake papers and the ID and that, and it's not passing through.
Passport.
It's mad, bro.
Nah, to be honest, the older generation and the newer generation of men, there's a massive difference. But we never really focus on the why.
People's decisions or like what people would go for, I feel like it's unique to everyone's situation in it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Of course. Just out here, literally taking life every single day at a time. Every day is a challenge to be better than the last. You know, resonating with one of the posts that went up on the progression page, and like been trying to make that my mantra and holding on to that to say, you know what, as long as it's better than yesterday, sorted.
Feel me?
So today's feeling good.
100% facts, man. That's what had me on them posts, man. Like creating them, it's like you run through those challenge, you run through and into those challenges on a daily basis, and you have to have a decision right there in front of you. Otherwise, you're just gonna get swept up by it, man. You gotta know you gotta push forward, and you gotta have the right people around you. You get me?
Facts.
That's what the progression company is the place to be. You feel me?
Trust me, the same post made me realize success is a mindset and it's also a form of progression. If you're progressing, you're successful. You get me?
That's all it
That's
is,
what
bro.
I've had to realize.
Wow.
If you're progressing, if you're going towards the right direction, you ain't got to worry about that. If you're
saying,
not sure
man.
of where you are or you're trying to find where you're going, that's the best place to be. You get me? Because you've got many more routes to go.
That's the true meaning of freedom, though, isn't it? Because once destiny is at your back, like once you know what your destiny really is, what your line of fire is, you're now not necessarily like entrenched, like covered, that's all you can do, but that's what your focus, that's your lane now. Whereas before you know what your lane is, you're so free, you can go anywhere, you can be anything.
Facts.
But we almost see it as a bad thing, like
I get you.
it's weird.
It's weird, man, but
Nah,
it's
for real.
something you can adjust to, man. Like when you get to that line of where you think there's limits, and when you cross that and you realize things are a lot more limitless than you first perceived, it takes a second to get used to. You gotta vibe with it. You gotta also know you've got the tools and the skills to get through the challenges that come with it, and you just need consistent reminders if possible. So just take it as lessons, man. Take it as challenges, but it's just like a gym session. You just gotta know you're gonna get better, stronger. The muscles gonna grow, but they gotta tear first. You feel me? That's what you gotta do, man. You gotta bring stuff to the table. You gotta have stuff to offer that you can trade in the transition of what you're trying to become and trying to get to, and then that can bring you forward to the next step. Because you gotta prepare yourself in each battle. Shall I say?
Facts.
Yeah. You know them ones you always need a spotter though. You mentioned the gym thing. You need a spotter.
Break it down, fam. Break it down. Why we need the spotter there, bro?
Because that's how you grow, man. Because when you have a spotter, you don't have to give. I give a little bit. You give your everything, and you're like, listen, if this thing falls on going towards my neck, the spotter is like, I got you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it needs to be that thing where you got brethren, you got friends, you got family, you got people you can really, really bounce off and get true and utter feedback, because that's what a spotter is supposed to do. Your form is whack. Don't walk around thinking it's great. Let's work on it. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel you.
need to get one of them. Need to get
Yeah,
some of them,
I'm
fam.
glad you broke that down, man. For real, Rami, what you feeling about that, man?
I feel like
Get comfortable.
that's
get
great.
comfortable.
I feel like that's a great point in terms of having a spotter, but I feel like a lot of people ain't got spotters in it. Because I've seen a lot of people that ain't got no one else, and the people that are supposed to look after them and care for them are the people that let them down the most, you get me?
Yeah.
So I feel
Facts.
like the most stable thing, the most sustainable thing, efficient thing you can rely on is self in it at all times. But I feel like that's a great point that Nigel made in terms of people having them people with them that want to guide them and support them, but people turning the other cheek in it. But it's like taking the answer, taking the message, shall I say, and take it and do what you want to do with it. But it's like it's all down to choice, and it goes back to the last point Sue was making. Freedom comes not when we lose our responsibility, but it comes from when we take responsibility for everything around us. You get me? Because we're
Oh.
responsible for everything, but we have the ability to respond, and the ability to respond gives us the choices that we want and gives us the free will, which comes down to freedom. You get me?
Real
So
talk.
just brought that down for you there. The same recording, is it?
Nah,
we're
we
there,
there,
we're
man. We there.
Oh,
They're
so
getting
there.
these gems,
We're
bro.
there.
Oh, say no
They
more,
getting
man.
these
That's calm.
gems. They
Wait,
lucky we
so
ain't
are we
charging.
recording now? Is everything good? Like, is everything blessed?
Yeah, bro. We locked
That's
in,
calm.
bro.
See, the whole
Locked
time
in,
I was
man.
thinking,
Yeah,
we
bro.
started and we, can I say, like, we ain't recording and that, but
For real, bro.
Yeah.
Dropping
Yeah.
these gems off for free, man.
nah,
We
for
charging
real.
soon, you feel me? But you lucky right now, man.
Nah,
But
love
nah,
that.
It's
love
the
that.
vibes right here, man. In the Progression Company with the Progression Talks podcast, it's something that you're gonna get on a regular basis. So even on the group chat level, like I remember we were talking and we were just vibing with stuff that we see on social media on a day-to-day basis. And I remember Nigel, you threw something in the chat and it sparked conversation, but it was something that we hadn't seen often, and it was something I had to pick up on. Like the post was, men have to now get women to like them, and a lot of men are realizing in that transition of meeting and dating or trying to build a relationship, they're realizing they aren't that likable. And we was like, yo, people playing their best hands and it's not getting accepted, bro.
Lord.
Turning up with the fake papers and the ID and that, and it's not passing through.
Passport.
It's mad, bro. Nigel, what were you saying on that, bro? What were you telling me on that?
That one is a difficult one because what I don't want to do is say a message that can easily be misinterpreted, because this is quite a sensitive one.
Honestly.
Because for me, through the whole week, I've been thinking on it, like kind of trying to just understand it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to lean towards, to be honest, the older generation and the newer generation of men, there's a massive difference. But we never really focus on the why. Of course, once we focus on the why, we can't forget the problem in the first instance, but we need to then maybe tackle it a little bit differently. So I definitely think because of the change, this is such a large topic.
It's a big topic.
There's a plethora. There's a
Mhm.
plethora, bro. This topic is colossal.
It's almost like for males, we need a certain level of, I am doing this for you, like acts of service. Like men always have that thing to be able to give a service for their women and, look after them, provide for them. So when that comes off the table, and I think I was talking to, and she was talking about one of her exes that she had an issue with because she's fully independent.
Okay.
She has her own house, her own car. She drives herself. She's always worked. She's got her own savings. She doesn't really need anything. And she was like, he used to say this statement, you don't really need a man, do you? You can do everything for yourself, which kind of misinterprets what this whole love thing is supposed to be about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like at the moment we've got the misconception that we go in there with this fairy tale love emotion thing and that's it. But when you go into, a relationship or a courtship, there's a level of responsibility. There's a level of, okay, I can look after you and support you. I can look after myself and support myself. And my happiness depends on me. Your happiness depends on you. And I don't know. I think it's fairly interesting to me because the more the conversation grows, the more it develops, we start to hear there's small traits that's making the unacceptable side of men, if I should say. There's small traits which are really peeking out, but they seem to be peeking out more because of societal pressures and education.
I'm glad you touched on that, bro. I'm glad you touched on that because social pressures people don't even know is a thing until they get to certain ages and certain areas of whatever it is, careers, relationships, or just materialistic levels of living. And then they reflect and they're like, did I do this to have the acceptance from people around me or for me to feel comfortable in where I am due to be accepted in where I'm trying to grow? And that's such a thing you need to think about because with men being out here trying to grow and obviously progressing what they're trying to do on a day-to-day basis, like they need to know that there's levels to approaching women that are on the same level as them or higher up, because we know men are out here trying to punch above their weight, fam. And that's what you need. Sometimes you need to be encouraged to obviously reach that other level and bring that juggernaut essence out of you. And sometimes a lot of it's because the effort ain't consistent. Like sometimes they show it for the one night or for the couple months, and then it's deteriorating. You ain't going to the same restaurants as you was before. You ain't going to the same like places on holidays or whatnot, or you ain't buying you as much stuff. Like you gotta look out for those things. Like, is he trying to teach you information and show you them tracks that you ain't heard before? Is he just trying to buy you something? You feel me? So gotta definitely stay alert out here, man. Rami, what you thinking?
I feel like you guys made some great points. I feel like in terms of people's decisions or like what people would go for, I feel like it's unique to everyone's situation in it, because one person might like the situation that you talked about, Nigel, where maybe the woman's taking more responsibility and she's doing more, she's providing more.
Yeah.
But it's what we define, it's what you define as what it means to be a man in it. So
Yeah.
if you, by your definition, it means that you want to provide, and I know that can mean that for a lot of men, you get me. It's gonna be like, yo, this is peak. I can't do what I want to do for my girl. I can't feel good about it. You get me? So in that perspective, I understand how my man can feel in that situation, but I feel like it's like you're saying before, it's down to societal pressures, because I feel like if you understand that that's part of your role in that relationship, because you're getting yourself into an agreement, it's like you shouldn't put your worth on that door, because nothing should be, your worth shouldn't be based on something as fickle as that, you get me? Because sometimes you may not be able to do that. Sometimes you have to rely on your own willpower and strength to see there's a vision of what I want and I ain't got it right now, but I've got to be okay with it. My worth shouldn't be based on it, because if my worth is lowered because of the situation right now, I can't even see past the situation, you get me? So I feel like it's like always with most matters, it's going to be down to perception, but that perception matters.
Yeah.
In terms of what that person wants in that for themselves when they're getting themselves into that agreement, you get me, into that relationship.
I rock with that point, man, and it leads to the question I had, like when you were talking about perception and what each other can see when you're in a relationship with one another. And the thing was, like, do you guys feel like when you know when you have that thing when you want to know everything about that person that you're seeing at the time, like you just want to discover everything you didn't know, and like watch the thing, like watch the woman and like learn her and understand her, like the first time you watched a movie you liked. Like, do you think that if that deteriorates and you don't always have that spark or that interest, do you feel like that can be an issue as to whether or not it shows that you're still invested as well as still willing to fight for the attention and the interest from her and with her to try and like discover different things? Because I feel like it's something that's important, because I think it's linked to the likable factors and skills that men and women may feel that when and once offered, it's not always consistent. Like, what do you guys feel?
That's a great question, you know. But you know, a lot of people say like, forget love, I want loyalty. That's where that comes in as well, you get me?
Okay.
Because everyone's saying the love will be there, and like the lovey-dovey things at the beginning, the honeymoon stage, you get me? Like, that's gonna be there, but time with everything, the energy, it's gonna change it, the interactions. You're gonna get used to that person, you get me?
Yeah.
So it goes back to what I was saying before. It turns into an agreement of, cool, you're gonna piss me off, I'm gonna piss you off. I won't even want to see you sometimes, but well, let's just stick together for now, you get me? That's what loyalty means. You get me?
Yeah. Do you know what? When I see that statement, you know, I want loyalty and not so much the love bit.
Well, it goes back to what love means, but you get me?
Yeah.
Because when I think about the whole connection or the contract that we're agreeing to begin with, the lovey-dovey stuff, the love, I see it as chemical reactions. I might be a pessimist, but I see it as chemical reactions. I think that we get into behavioral addictions, we get safe with someone, we open up, and you know, it's a naturally human process. So once we're there, we can't stay there forever, because those are chemicals now just bouncing in my brain every time I see. At some point, you get used to a level of chemicals. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you get used to it. So what's necessary is the loyalty part. So the way I see it is, you need a mixture of the both. You need that
Mm.
love aspect, that chemical, the addiction,
That
that
balance.
yeah. And then you also need that. I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
guys getting?
Nah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
I fully hear what you're
100%.
saying, bro. I fully hear
Yeah.
what you're saying, man.
I feel like in life, when you go through certain situations, we go through emotions, you get me? So when we're going through these emotions, that shouldn't deter us from our main objective. You get me?
Facts.
So when you set an intention, like when you set that agreement, that should be more important over what you're feeling.
Damn.
That's with everything.
Say that one more time, G. They didn't hear that.
Wow.
I said, you have to. Yeah.
I had to give you that. I had to give you
Yo, I put the other one as well. What's the other one? It's a vibe.
that. Yeah, real talk.
Vibe.
You get me?
What's a vibe?
Spit that
Trust
again
me.
one time, G.
What's a
What a vibe. I was saying like, yo, whatever intentions you've set, whatever your objective is, whatever your dream is, set your intention on that and follow it, because your feelings will come and go. It's a chemical reaction, like what my boy Nigel said, you get me? Don't base your life off chemical reactions, because it will come and go.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
And another point to make to that as well, don't mean you don't accept them, because your feelings are precious. You have to accept what you're feeling at whatever time you're going through, you get me?
Feel through it. Don't run from it. You get me?
Jeez.
Facts.
Makes you a better person. I'm telling you.
Trust me.
And it's leading to the point I had as well, man. Like, you can always as well try out those goals, like, you know, the bucket list, as well as the ideas that you have to try and make yourself better and aspire to achieve better for yourself with that significant other. You get me? Because that feeling you can get from the level of dopamine or serotonin that you get for a short minute can make so much more memories with the person that you've got by you, and it can mean more, and it can actually grow into more as well. So it's something you shouldn't really rush into. It's something you should actually try out, because speaking for myself, and maybe the brothers have done it as well, like, it's a different feeling when you do that, and the connection there as well, it has more substance rather than the materialistic or the significant pictures you've taken and posted.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can be linked to the old school way as well, and like coming through with the old knowledge that I feel like is present in the past generations, because they didn't really have as much stuff that we have. Like, they didn't have the trips to Dubai and that, and the ghetto golf, you feel me, and
They
the
never had
Bucks
no
out
ghetto
Sundays with Buxley and that. Like, they didn't have none of that. So when we have that now, it's a thing where we're able to try out things, but once we share those memories and those moments, like, you'd be surprised at what can be birthed out of it. So definitely bear that in mind, man.
That's strong. That's strong. I think a lot of the way that we fix this, the way we fix the gap, in my eyes, you know, between having too many relationships where there's too much of an imbalance. I think the way we fix that is through respect, but also through making wise dang choices.
Real
Because
talk.
I think Rami mentioned this earlier, that a lot of relationships are just, people are just jumping in there.
Yeah.
And they're not really relationships where I care about your well-being. I need you to do amazingly. If it's better than me, let's go. If it's, you know, with these missing bits. So I think that respect, that love, that real dedication is missing in the long term.
Yeah.
And if we want to fix it, I think it's about tools.
Real talk.
And it's about, you know, like green light, red light. If something is going sour, red light. I'm not understanding you.
Communication. You get me?
And yeah, I need to pull back so that I can understand, because right now I don't. And simple things like that, and having, what's that? Is it pineapples?
Yeah, the safe word, or the word that
Yeah.
you'd use to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
I got you.
Them things are needed in each scenario, because you imagine certain things are tough to say. And I feel like a lot of black men are traumatized in one capacity, dimension or another. And the way it can almost come out is maybe arrogant, or it's they don't care, or it's they don't take me out anymore.
Yeah.
And or it, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like, why don't they do that? Have you also noticed this has deteriorated?
Yeah.
Okay, so what tools are coming in place in the relationship so that there's, you know, a growth, there's a back and forth. So I really think there's a lot to do with us needing tools,
Yeah.
that we can use when, you know, things go sour, because they always will.
Yeah.
And that's what I tend to find. A lot of relationships fall over. We argued. Like, I don't like that personally, because I think you can argue to the cows come home, but until you actually feel like, I don't care if this person
Yeah.
then fair enough. But I can
Yeah.
argue with wifey and be thinking, cool, I'm vexed, I'm vexed, but I have to then get away from this because it's an emotion.
Yeah.
It's not a fact of life. It's an emotion, and once I get away from the emotion, I guess it allows better choices.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. The thing we're missing, the tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like you made a great point. Like a lot of young black males, everyone really, but especially us, because society is trying to hit us from every angle. It's like the trauma hits deep, and it comes out in ways of that looks like it wants power. Like, it looks like arrogance. It looks like pride. Because Mike Tyson was interviewed and he said, "I wanted to be the baddest man on the planet because." He was molested when he was young, you get me? And he wanted to show that he can dominate everyone, no one can do anything to him, you get me? And it goes to show that, the pain runs deep, it runs very deep in it, but the tools that we need to be given, for some of us are not in our hands, because obviously our parents ain't been given the tools from them, and they've been carrying on cycles and cycles of pain, of grief, whatever it can be in it, and that's been carried on. But once you have the awareness of whatever that thing is, you can start to distance yourself from it, you get me? Because too many times we make the situation our identity.
Jeez.
You get me? It's like we think that it's us. Like, we think, I'm not someone if I'm not the person I am unless I carry this pain, because it's comfortable, you get me?
Yeah. It's something
Everything,
you get
whatever's
used to.
comfortable, like, you're going to keep around, whether it hurts you, whatever, like, you get me? Stockholm syndrome is real.
It is, man. It is. I'm glad you spoke on it, bro, because it's a case of, like, the thing is, people sometimes don't understand that you can't grow or progress in your comfort zone. Like, you can't. It just won't work, because you have to be uncomfortable to then be able to make your surroundings comfortable and adapt to you. Sometimes you don't always have to adapt to your surroundings. Of course, you need to if it's a new setting and you're trying to progress, of course, and you're a new addition. You need to find your slot. But sometimes people need to understand that to grow, and even to put it in like layman's terms, when you plant something, it's not in the best position. It's going to wiggle out of motion. The roots are going to move to try and grasp to where the water is. And then the flowers are going to grow in connection with where the sun rises. You feel me? You got to be in the know of, sometimes you may need to navigate differently. And like you were saying, Rami, like, it's a case of when it comes to the tools that we were given that now Nigel was talking about before, we need to be able to know that if they're rusty, the ones that we were given from like our parents and their parents' we might need to, find them out, readjust them, may need to get some new screws, and you may need to sharpen them up. But if you're able to do that, then you can bring more to the table than just likable factors, because I feel like it's maybe more than half and half, but I couldn't say which side. If it's two men not doing more than just having likable factors to bring to the table, or if they aren't and they're actually bringing something that is more than just like, an expensive pair of trainers or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's something we're working on, but we also have to bear in mind that we have a lot of stuff to work on. And I feel like people outside of us also need to bear that in mind as well. Because when you bring stuff to the table, you've got to also be able to accept if that is your best. People still may not like that. And then that's how you can refine and chisel things to try and see if it fits their narrative. But also don't change yourself completely to fit someone else's narrative. Because when I say adjusted, I'm saying maybe give and take and compromising and coming to an agreement, because that's also what's in a relationship as well.
Yeah, facts, bro. I feel like you don't well the way you brought it back to the question as well, because I feel like it comes back to responsibility for both sides. You get me? Like, we have to sit here and we talk about our side and put up our hands up and say, yo, this is how we've been doing, this is how we need to move. You get me? But it comes down to, if everyone takes responsibility for their own actions, takes accountability, we ain't gonna have a lot to worry about. You get me? It's just, there's not like a we in the situation. There's not like one perspective that I can fit onto a whole gender. You get me?
Yeah.
But all I know is there's individuals amongst. What was you saying yesterday? Like, there's individuals amongst the crowd. You get me?
Yeah. We're talking about Dave's album.
Yeah.
What was the title of the
What's
album again, bro?
album?
We're all
in
alone.
this-
Yeah. Spit that.
Yeah.
What's the title, bro?
We're all alone in this together.
Yeah.
You get me? So it's literally a bunch of individuals that we are, but each individual can change at least 3 or 4 people. Imagine if it only takes like something like 5% to start a revolution. You get me? But I'm not talking about an actual revolution. I'm talking about a revolution of a mindset. You get me?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
how everything changes. When when you evolve past mindset and you create a new mindset, it's called a paradigm shift. 19 Keys talks about that. You get me? But I feel like going back to the question as well, it comes down to accountability for both sides, and also like, yo, if you're not likable to one person, there's 6-7 billion people in this world. You get me?
Yeah.
And it's so important to just be yourself and attract the right person to you. You get me? And sometimes it could be patience. Sometimes that could mean rejection. But I also say rejection means redirection. You get me?
Yeah.
And also, no matter where you go, I feel like for me, you're always gonna be on the right path because it's what life is giving you. So all you can do is take the lessons from what's been given to you. You get me? So if you're in a situation, someone's telling you what can you do or what can for some way. That's how I'm referring back to the question. Like men, that's like the man you're talking about, someone in that situation. So that person you're talking about, if they can take I forgot the main point, but if they can take their responsibility and do what they're doing, they could just find someone else to like them. You get me? If you don't like them, someone else is gonna find them likable. You get me?
Yeah.
So it's not up to a person to try and seem likable or try and be likable. It's up to the person to love themselves and be who they are in it. But it's also up to them to take away the conditions that society has set on them, because that's what creates them to put on the face or the mask of the facade. You get me? Like the toxic masculinity that people want to talk about, or you get me, like the facade, like the mask that people have to put on to seem like cool. Let me seem cool for this person or whatever. But I got a question for you guys that leads me on to still, which is how much of an impact does social media have on this? Because I feel like when you're talking about facades and you're talking about like a persona we got to put on, this piece of phone, this phone right here, you get me? This has a lot to do with how we think, because imagine how much of our energy goes into this.
I think it's mad, I think it's quite mad, because when you're thinking about social media, we look at it and we say, damn, social media is so powerful and it's so dangerous because
Honestly,
it's constant and it's consistent, which means it's indoctrinating. It's constantly teaching us something by force subconsciously. So when we're constantly seeing things that we could want and stuff like that and all of this, our parents didn't have that. Are we fair? Our parents didn't have that. They had to focus on the person in front of them, and they had to understand them and get to like them and get to know them. Whereas now we're escaping getting to know the person. We're holding the phone at dinner time. Do you know what I mean? We're holding the phone during important conversations, during important meetings, and we're trying to justify reasons to use phones. But I think Alex touched on this before about how society is becoming materialistic and we want to buy this, but we're not really focused on what we're doing. So I think if we're going to find solutions within this whole conversation, if we're trying to think about social media, let's think about the whole thing. Let's think about the most people know anything about anything through their TV. They know what Rio looks like through their TV. They know what a tiger looks like through their TV. So now if they were told a tiger is actually yellow, they're going to believe that, because all it takes is enough indoctrination. They got to see it enough times. We've all seen the heart, haven't we? The shape of the heart.
Yeah.
That don't look like your heart.
Nope.
Under no circumstances.
In the diaper and that with the wings, just bow and arrowing people, messing up situations or creating good situations.
You seen the social aspect of that then?
Yeah.
The just Cupid part. They literally took a heart and they didn't say next to each other it's gonna work. They said in some weird specific shape or form.
Yeah. We gonna make it work.
We're gonna make it work. Yeah. So we'll give you this holiday. You spend it on this direction. This is where we want you to go. This is what love is.
Yeah.
And then we start learning that. Except for us black males, we're in a bit of a particular situation because we don't always have that money that everyone else has economically. So now I have these emotions I'm carrying because I can't get my girl a Birkin. I can't get my girl this, that, and the other. So I'll be thinking, oh, what about my mom? I want to get her this, I want to get her that. And I'm low again.
Yeah.
So there are constantly things which just keep setting us back when we're using this social media thing and this, I guess, the TV, the connection.
Yeah.
And just the last point I wanted to hit is, I wish I could remember the name of this theory. There's a business theory which talks about the more people that you bring into a team, it creates this I would trust that if I don't do the task, someone else is going to do it. There's 20 of us in here. What the hell? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the more we connect people via the internet, there's a lack of responsibility. Like, people just share things. Why? I don't have the time to deal with it, or emotional. I don't know what to do. Someone else will. At least I've shared.
Yeah.
That's the mentality we're building, and it's so dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, I feel
100.
you. I feel you with where you're going. Like, as in the direction of, in terms of the responsibility of knowing the amount of responsibility you have,
Yeah.
and keeping it and doing what needs to be done. You can see that over time it's getting shared. I see the direction it's leading to, because especially in the relationship format for a male, it can be deemed in that, like, when the effort isn't put in as much as it was at the start, as well as the attention, as well as response time isn't the same as it was at the start as well, it can leak into that. And I do agree with the social media topic that you were touching upon in that statement as well. Like, I do think social media is heavily present in today's relationships, and I do think it's an issue, because I think a lot of people can sometimes rely on the direction of where things are going, and can also fall downwards because of the amount of stuff that's on social media that they're trying to chase, but almost trip when trying to grasp it. And I think it's something we have to reel back in, because I feel like with people, they have to understand that everything that's shown online isn't necessarily the true fact of what it is.
Yep.
And they also need to know that when you're trying to aspire to do things for your partner, sometimes what you're doing can be enough. It's just, you have to be present in whilst you're doing it. It's not necessarily, it has to be shimmery and shiny every time you do it.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like one of the main tools when it comes to that, especially with black males dealing with whatever type of mental health issues they have, or not having a stronger enough mental health just status, like they're like at that moment, like mentally they feel strong enough to be in that situation. I do feel like communication is something that does have to be present and always worked on, no matter how long you've been together, no matter how in sync you guys are.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that needs to be present
100.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the big reasons why, like, there's so much suicide going on with men in it, especially because expectations that happen. Obviously, the expectations are you have to provide, otherwise you're not worth anything. And like, you're going back to the point you're talking about, I can't buy my girlfriend a Birkin bag.
Yeah.
What kind of mindset makes you think, yo, a bag costs I don't even know how much this bag costs.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, my man can't buy me, give me love or respect, or he can buy me something, even can buy you stuff, but even something a bit less, more reasonable. You get me? But
A
it's
bag
like,
is a bag. You get me?
For
As long
real.
as the thought and the presence was there and the love was there, it's something that you can cherish and at least look back on to know that he tried to put in motion, and then you can
facts.
always grow from that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were all here to speak on that. I'm glad that we could take something from it, and I hope that listeners can as well. Thank you for tuning into the Progression Talks podcast. Myself, Alex,
You got Rami here.
You got Nigel here.
and this is us out. Tune in next time.
Peace out.
You are competing in my list.
Alright, I forgot we was I forgot we was holding.
First of all, we gotta apologize for butchering any of the names.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Do not hold us accountable.
That's cool.
Go ahead.
The shout out is for Shandion, and just trying to read the feedback that came in. The last bit said, fun personality and vibes can only get you so far if you don't have good communication or empathy. I thought that was golden. Like, if you can't communicate, if you don't have that empathy to step into someone's shoes and say, actually, he wants to try, he just has trauma, he's just hurting, he's trying from this angle. Take away the trauma, lack of training, he's working on it, and then just moving forward. So I really appreciate that she hit it from both the male and the female angle.
100%. Thank you for sending that comment in. I was so grateful to come into the group chat, because I think it led into a lot of opinions as well as comments from all of us here on the Progression Talks podcast. So we were able to share a bit of the knowledge and experience that we've gone through personally, as well as we were personally able to gain, that we can pass down, because I think it's necessary for people to speak on it, especially from the position we're in, to give some honest and authentic clarity on a lot of the things being said, especially when it comes to the comment section as well. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that participated in replying to the story, because not everyone has to, but on these kind of topics we kind of need people to, and I want to be thankful for that. I want to give a shout out to Warrior Reminder, aka Ash Alves _ that was touching on the point of, yes, traits alone can't sustain the relationship, or when you're even trying to approach a woman or an individual that you feel like you're on level to, because I think, with it being a good point, may I add, by the way, I think it's a necessary thing to be able to know that you need to bring more to the table than just your appearance or the ideas and aspirations you have, like with background knowledge as well as background work to show as evidence that you're thorough and you're determined. I think it will put you in a better position, as well as keep you aligned for the path that you're trying to walk on with the person that you're approaching, because I know for a fact when you get older, the responsibility as well as the effort needs to stay consistent. So shout outs to them for sending in their comment.
Definitely. Goes back to my main point I was trying to make before, because this is a great comment as well from, I think it was Shan Dion as well. Authenticity is important. You gotta be unique to yourself, and you can attract the right person to you. You get me? If you're not likable to one person, you're gonna be likable to someone else. So just keep that in mind. And I just want to bring it back to self. Love self first, and then hopefully someone else does the same thing. You get me? That's all I want to leave it at. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
For real.
Love that, love that, love that, love that.
So it's actually kind of mad that this topic actually came into the discussion of the group chat, but I'm glad that it came up, and I'm glad that we were able to touch upon it on different layers and different levels. So we were able to expose like the different reasons why it could be occurring in a relationship or a situationship, whether it was lack of tools being filed enough as well as sharpened enough and passed down so they know how to approach a woman, as well as being able to know when their likable traits and skills aren't going to always get them through to the next phase. Like, you might have to actually bring some information and some knowledge to her. But I'm glad that this topic got to the Progression Talks podcast.
Yeah.